Well, first of all, I'm here representing some of the other heads of government who couldn't make it, to basically do a recce, to understand what the needs are, and to make sure that the systems are working. So I have to say to you that it's not discouraging, meaning that we are seeing some good infrastructure, your roads are clear, basic things are functioning, but it's the idea of getting the place clean as possible. I think that we don't want panic to set in. That's why we're really here to say that from a food perspective and from drinks and from a medical perspective, that the OECS countries are here to support SEDIMA and to make sure. So for instance, we have 2 BVI boats that we're harboring in St. Lucia that we've filled with water and filled with supplies. We are going to try to work with the British authorities to get a dedicated cargo plane. Dominica and St. Lucia and St. Vincent are prepared to provide fresh produce on a regular basis. So the key things of getting off the ground right now, you have the support. The longer term plans, I think that there's some good ideas and very clearly some of the things that have to happen, and we intend to play a role in that regard. So in terms of LUSLEC, or the electricity services, we have Carolec, we have people coming in. Your hospital here in terms of people who've been going 24/7. The idea that we can send nurses and doctors to help support them in the interim. So I just want all the citizens of the British Virgin Islands, and particularly the nationals of the Caribbean, to know that our hearts and thoughts are with them, but more importantly, our resources. And that we're here in person to really reassure everyone that you're not forgotten. We clearly understand what you're going through, and we will be here through the thick and thin to make sure everything. On a regional basis, all of us have put together very comprehensive catastrophic plans that deal with the impact on your destination. What we are not so good at is understanding as a region, how do we help support each other? The situation where you had 2 hurricanes going, and that Puerto Rico and Miami were in disastrous way, harm's way, meant that the support had to come from the south. And I think that that's what really encouraged us to form this OECS group, to support SEDIMA. So SEDIMA is still the one taking the overall initiative, but we felt the size of the catastrophe required our assistance. We also know that the early days are important. What you don't want to see is panic setting in. You want people to be encouraged and see things progressing on a daily basis. So I'm already seeing things progressing. I want to say to you that as bad as you may think it is, this is all fixable. Okay, it's going to take a little time, but the most important thing right now is to make sure from a medical perspective and also basically water and food immediately, and then we can get the resources. Some of the longer term things that we know, for instance, with education. So we want to really talk to your Premier that we had this situation in Grenada, that you have Form 5 and Form 6 students who've just begun. We have an Adopt the Child program that goes to all of our islands because we have a very similar curriculum. And we'll be there to support them. It's the same family members that are going back and forth. So these are some of the little things that maybe this week people won't be thinking of, but start putting all the blocks in place for next week and the week after, and then before you know it, everybody will be back on. From a tourism perspective, the Caribbean needs the BVI. Okay, this is an important component. We want the world to know that BVI is not going to have to do this by themselves. That we are going to be here together, and we're committed to making this thing happen.